A question that I've heard so many times in all my years of talking about Backrooms levels is, can you tame entities inside of the Backrooms? I actually made a YouTube short about this topic 2 years ago that over 3.5 million people saw. Thanks for that. And in the comment section of that video, there were at least 200 of you asking me to make a long form video about taming Backrooms entities and kind of a taming guide in general. So this is that video. Today I will be explaining in depth 4 different creatures that can be tamed in the Backrooms lore using a variety of methods ranging from almond water to sunflower seeds to liquid pain. Bear with me if that sounds stupid, it kind of is, but it is pretty cool to imagine walking around the Backrooms with a tamed little buddy. If that does sound interesting to you at all though, leave a like on this video and let me know in the comments which of these creatures today that you would domesticate and that you would take along with you when you're traveling. Without further ado, let's hop into the video and let's get into it, shall we? To begin with, I want to give you a list of the different creatures that actually can be tamed in the lore. There might be other ones that I'm not sure about, but these are the ones that I know and that other people know you can successfully do a taming ritual with. And these also won't try to eat you while you sleep if you can tame them. The entities are dollfaces, blubcats, male death moths, yes, male death moths, and Jerry. If you're interested in the full lore of each of those different things I mentioned right then, I have made individual breakdowns on all of them over the last few years. If I remember to do so, I will link them in the description. If not, just look up blubcats, brugly, or anything like that and it'll pop up. But to begin this list, let's discuss dollfaces or entity 34. This species of creature appears as small anthropomorphic humanoids with the general design of a Raggedy Ann doll from real life. They stand at about 2.5 feet tall and they're extremely lightweight because they're small. The hair of a dollface is made up of yarn and their skin is some kind of material that is similar to cloth but not cloth. I don't know how that works. And they can move at decently high speeds. Overall, they look pretty chill, like they're not going to bother you. But despite that docile looking design, these creatures are known far and wide for being very hostile to anything they see, unless they're tamed. The biggest danger with these entities comes from the fact that they hunt in packs. They hunt with 10 to 12 different doll faces alongside of them, and they use their non-threatening personas to lure things closer, that way they can consume them and attack them. For instance, if you walk up to a doll face on any level and you approach them, it'll usually be one of them at a time, and they'll say something like, "Hi, I'm Dollface. It's nice to meet you," or something like that in a high-pitched childlike voice that I can't do. All the while, the members of its little pack are waiting to ambush you to rip you limb from limb and to consume your organs. Now, the good news is you don't have to have your organs consumed by doll faces because they are relatively easy to tame. The hardest part is getting one doll face alone to do this taming ritual. The method of taming is as follows. Simply approach one singular doll face instance. You can't do multiple at a time, and you have to approach it in a non-threatening manner with almond water in your hand sticking out. You simply must offer this almond water to the creature, and doing this will make it calm down. It'll approach you, it'll grab the bottle of almond water, and it will drink it. And after this, you've got yourself a little doll face pet. Give yourself a round of applause. You deserved it. You didn't get mauled to death by a huge pack of Raggedy Ann dolls. Now, as I said, doll faces are flesh and blood creatures. They're real. Despite their Raggedy Ann doll appearance, they do have organ systems and things like that, so you do have to worry about feeding them food or providing food for them to eat while you tame it. But they are able to hunt on their own, and it would be pretty cool to run around the Backrooms with a little pack of your own doll faces. I feel like that's awesome. Well, not really awesome, but it's cooler than being alone, I guess. But like I said, you have to make sure when you're taming a doll face, listen up, when you're taming a doll face, you have to make sure it's alone. You can't tame multiple at a time, it just won't work. So make sure you've got one cornered, alone, and scared, give it the almond water, and then it can be your little pet. Taming a bunch of these little doll faces could be huge in keeping you safe during things like entity attacks or other level dangers. They might be able to fight off creatures or fight off other people. The only issue that I can see that might be kind of concerning is they might compromise your location if you're in a place that needs to be quiet. Like if you're trying to sneak around and a doll face squeals, it might get you killed, but I don't think so. Even so, it'd be really cool to have kind of little armies of little doll faces around, and I feel like you guys might enjoy that. But following this trend of moderately safe entities that you can tame, I have to mention Entity 29, or blubcats. Over Over the years, you've watched me wander through the weirdest, darkest, most disturbing corners of the backrooms. You've seen me talk about the deadliest levels, the deadliest creatures, the weirdest places, the emptiest places, and every single thing in between. But one thing that I haven't really touched on is how bad you're going to smell after being stuck in the backrooms forever. Spoiler alert, it is not a good smell. And how you do smell is a big factor in how you're perceived by other people, which is why I love working with today's sponsor, Scentbird. One scent that's really resonated with me recently is the Gentleman Society by Givenchy, because truly, when I tell you this thing makes me smell like I'm the best thing since sliced bread, I mean it. It's got notes of sage and cardamom, and it smells very earthy and natural. I really like it. And since the weather's been getting colder and it's almost Christmas time and winter time, I've been using Polias Bourbon by Memo because I like to smell like a lumberjack around Christmas time, okay? All you have to do with these Scentbird vials to get the maximum things out of them is to apply them at your pressure points like your wrists, behind your ears, your neck, and they'll last you all day. Scentbird itself is a fragrance subscription service that helps you discover new fragrances and try out different ones without having to buy a whole expensive bottle of it. They have hundreds of different scents from top name brands, so you can customize your scents every single month. Each vial has a generous 30-day supply, and this will last you a good amount of time. And it's also enough to see if you actually like it, and you might want to buy a full bottle of it. So if you want to give Scentbird a try and locate your own signature scent, you can get 55% off your first month's order using code 55brugly or by scanning the QR code that you see on screen. If you do this, you'll get your first scent from Scentbird for only $8.97. And then the next month's fragrance will only be $17.95. Again, just by scanning the QR code or going to the top link in the description and using code 55brugly, you'll get 55% off your first month's order at Scentbird, and you can find out what really makes you smell good. Thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it, shall we? Bobcats are literally the least aggressive creature in all of the backrooms. They literally just exist. They don't do anything else. They exist. They appear as variously shaped types of cats that are all stretched out in random ways, and they're essentially invincible as their skin is an elastic material and their bodies can shrink down and warp to any size at all. So you could step on one, sit on one, throw one against the wall, and it'll just flatten itself out like a pancake, and it won't take any damage. Essentially, they just have built-in feather falling. If you know what Minecraft, you probably do. I don't know why I said that, but if you know Minecraft, that's what these things have. They have feather falling. Blubcats communicate via small little squeaks, usually similar to a dog toy, but they also are known to have this strange ability, and an important ability for you if you're going to tame one, to telepathically communicate with human beings only. They seem to be able to tell you what they want or what their desires are, or just converse with you via the mind. You don't have to use your mouth, they just talk to you with their mind, which would be pretty awesome. If you're alone in the backrooms for long enough, you probably want to have a little friend with you, and if you could talk to this little fluffy cat through your mind, that would be pretty neat. Now, there are plenty of reasons that you might want to tame a blubcat. One is that they're cute. Another is that they really can't die. You can squash them, they can burn up, they can explode, you can give it liquid pain. Nothing hurts it. Nothing can damage it at all. So if you want to tame one of these gigantic floating blub whoopee cushion looking things, all you have to do is offer them any edible substance, harmful or not, and they'll consume it right in front of you. They won't be affected by whatever it is, no matter how potent, and then after they consume it, they will follow you around like a little trained dog, but they're a cat. You can literally give it anything. You give it almond water, greasy marshmallows, gum, royal rations, no matter what it is, you'll be able to tame one of these things really easily, and they might be able to be used as a human shield, or a cat shield, I guess, if anything attacks you, because they cannot die. So it's safe to say that taming a few of these could probably be really useful for you as you go throughout the backrooms. Now, you might also want to tame a creature that doesn't just look cool, but it may give you a strategic advantage while you're going through the different levels. And if that's the case, then the male death moth, it could just be what you need. And yes, it does matter that I keep saying male death moths. They are the only type of death moth that is tameable. Do not try to tame a female death moth. They will kill you and consume your liver. Entity number 4, also known as death moths, are large, sentient type moth creatures that have many different attributes and many different lore pieces that I actually need to make a full video on, so I'll do that soon. But for the sake of this video and this taming guide, death moths live all across tons of different levels deep inside the complex. They thrive in dark, wet places. Oftentimes in the belly of big levels, you can find a nest of death moths. These are organic, hive-like structures that are just blown up to large proportions. The Empress death moth is the highest class of the death moth that you can see. These are those large, foreboding moths that you don't want to approach because they will eat you. Like I said, you want to ignore the Empress, you want to ignore the female death moths, you want to focus on the smaller male death moths. The Wikidot calls them docile scavengers, and it's because of that passive nature that they're very easy to domesticate using food like almond water. Males are usually small, about 30 centimeters in their wingspan, and they have a really long proboscis, and that makes them pretty easy to spot because next to a female death moth, those are about twice the size with mandibles instead of a proboscis. So look for the proboscis if you want to see the male. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere, I just don't want to make it right now. But these things have a few uses if you want to tame one. For one, they look awesome. A second one is that if you tame it good enough, it might be able to fly around and scavenge food for you and bring it back to you. Another use is that if you find a couple of them, you might be able to grab onto them and you could fly. You could like grab their little legs and they could fly up in the air. But again, make sure it is a male and not a female because you would die if you try to do that. But finally for this video, I want to briefly mention Jerry, of course, the elephant in the room. You can indeed tame Jerry for a brief amount of time. If you don't know who Jerry is somehow, if you've been living under a rock, he's this super powerful macaw-like entity bird thing that has a cult that worships him. He has a lot of ethereal powers. I made so many videos on Jerry, I just can't do it anymore. Go watch them if you're interested. If you've watched this far in this video, you definitely know what he is. But what you might not know is that you can actually tame him for a temporary amount of time using sunflower seeds. All you gotta do is locate Jerry, which is pretty hard, honestly, but you have to hold out your palm, sunflower seeds in it, he'll fly over to your arm, he'll land there and he'll consume those sunflower seeds, and he'll ride on your shoulder for as long as you keep feeding him. But most importantly, he will remember that kindness that you gave him, you offered your sunflower seeds, he'll remember that. And when he takes over everything, he won't indoctrinate you into his little cult. But if you do this wrong, and if you touch Jerry without offering him sunflower seeds, without being open and kind, he'll turn you into one of his drones and you'll be compelled to worship him forever until you die from starvation. So be careful. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Remember to check out today's sponsor, Scentbird. You can get 55% off your first month's order just by using code 55brugly or clicking the top link in the description or scanning the QR code on screen. If you want to find your signature scent and you want to smell really good going into the new year, then I sincerely recommend checking out Scentbird. But that was the list of Backrooms entities that you can actually tame and you can domesticate. Hope you found it somewhat educational. If you didn't, then I guess I'm pretty sad. But thank you for watching to the end. Remember to let me know in the comments which entity you would tame. Would it be a dollface, a blubcat, Jerry, or a death moth, or a male death moth, I should say. Let me know which one of those you tame, and while you're down there, please leave a like if you actually enjoy the video. If you did not like the video, do not leave a like. It's that simple. With all that said, I'll see you in the next video on whatever my channel I decide to upload on next, Brugly, Spoogly, my TikTok, my Instagram, wherever I'm at. I will see you there in that next video.